I'm Dr. Mike Watson. I'm the Interim Associate Chair for the Department of Retailing. And today I'm going to be talking with Darby Klemz.
Hi everyone, my name is Darby Klemz. I am a USC alum. I graduated in May of 2024 with a degree in retailing and a concentration in retail management. And I now work at Belk. I am an assistant planner on the men's outdoor and active team.
So one of the things that's crucial from an HRSM Department of Retailing perspective is that we capture perspectives from a variety of resources, one being a recent alum that's in with one of our corporate sponsors, Belk. So today we're going to be discussing a variety of topics, but all relative to the fact of Darby's experience, so that you have a much better understanding of what it means to be in the retailing department of the University of South Carolina, but then also what that means to transition into organizational culture.
Yes, yeah.
Which is always different and always fun, but it's crucial because, as you know, experiential learning is a cornerstone of what we do and what helps us be different than anybody else. So I have a list of questions. We're going to go through them, and then we will see where we end up. All right, Darby, you ready?
Yes.
All right. Number one. As I was just talking, transitioning from college, and in this case into Belk corporate, right? What was the biggest culture shock or adjustment maybe when moving from academic life to corporate life?
There was a couple different adjustments. I had a pretty full plate here while I was here at USC. I went to school full time, I worked almost full time, and I was heavily involved in clubs. So I had all of that going on at once. And then when I transitioned into corporate, I just had one thing on my plate. So dealing with how to fill up my time when I didn't always have a to-do list was a bit of a challenge for me because it was just something different. But it was a good problem to have because I now got to do a little bit more self-exploration. What do I enjoy doing with my free time aside from it just being an obligation? And then also, in terms of the true transition from college to corporate, school was something that I loved, that always came natural to me, and transitioning into that corporate environment, especially in a role that was entirely new to me, I had to have a lot of grace with myself in a way that I had never had to have before, to really go through the motions of learning, true learning, and this was learning that could not be rushed. So that was a big transition.
Yeah, I think that's probably a theme or a thread, maybe, that we'll see throughout this interview, but definitely through your career journey, which is we don't grow in comfort.
No.
So this intentional decision almost to place oneself in discomfort allows us to grow. Yep. Which kind of gets me to my second question here.
Cool.
What I was interested in, because you mentioned that you had a very busy or full schedule while being a student. So as the interview process unfolded with Belk, what do you think made you stand out as a candidate to them?
I think my heavy involvement with NRF is what really helped me. I had the privilege of being the president of that organization. And with that role, I was really able to be the face of NRF when communicating to these companies. So going into the interview process with Belk, I was interviewing with recruiters that I already knew, who already knew me, because I had worked with them in a different facet of trying to just build up the NRF organization. So that barrier to entry there was already demolished because I had already done the work on the back end to make that connection. But I don't think I needed to be the president of the organization to have that opportunity either. I think that plenty of students in the NRF organization in particular have had the opportunity to have that face time with recruiters, specifically with the New York trip and also with the guest speakers that come in to the meetings. So overall, just being engaged in those on-campus clubs that help facilitate career growth is what really can make the difference.
Yeah, speaking of the New York trip, so every year we take a select number of students to New York, and not only do we help support them in terms of attending the conference specifically, but we construct purposefully intentional visits to other partners that we have in New York.
Yes.
So can you speak maybe a little bit about how expanding the experience of the conference to also include retail leading partnerships helps in terms of differentiating yourself as a candidate?
Yeah. Well, aside from making other students of the conference jealous that
Totally.
you get to go
Yes.
to Hugo Boss, Maggie London, all the fun places, it just, the conference does a really good job of bringing in industry partners themselves, but they can't get everyone. And by having your foot in the door at other organizations because it has a garnet shoe on it is really beneficial in a way that other universities don't have the opportunity to offer. I mean, our connection with Hugo Boss is really important. Our Ralph Lauren connection is really important. And those are just connections that other universities don't have. And so when you are there physically in New York, able to step foot in Hugo Boss's headquarters, no other student at that conference is able to do that. And that's such an impactful experience because Matt, who is our core partner there,
Yes.
knows who I am. Matt doesn't know who anyone else is at that conference. So it's a blessing and a privilege that I don't think our students realize is as impactful as what it is.
So one of the things that I'm hearing is that the decision to create meaningful relationships with not only your professors and your peers, which are immensely helpful, but also when given the opportunity to not be, I don't know, almost afraid to also create a relationship with a vice president of Hugo Boss or the former president of Ralph Lauren North America. So talk to me about that. How does one get over almost the imposter syndrome?
Yeah. I mean, that's where you fake it till you make it. And I know. And
we'll edit later. It's fine. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Not always. I mean, sometimes,
Yes.
you can't have the confidence to have those conversations until you have the first conversation. And it's just jumping in head first and having confidence in yourself to know yourself well enough to understand that you can be articulate in those conversations and to know that there are people that have gone before you to forge those partnerships to make those conversations a little bit easier. I mean, we have a great relationship with those partners because of the work that you guys have done as faculty and because of the work that prior students have done. So, you have a little bit of a softened entry point there because of the connections that you have.
Yeah. All right. Switching gears a little bit here to mindsets.
Yeah.
Kind of mindset skill set. Actually, the mindset part, we don't talk a lot about per se from an academic perspective, but it's crucial. But skill sets as well, depending on the soft skills that we're talking about. But one of the things I wanted to focus on that I have seen, and I'm curious if you have found this, is how important is being adaptable to being successful?
Yeah, it's probably the most crucial mindset to have. I mean, I can't think of anything else that would be more crucial than having the adaptability. And I say that from my own personal lens, because school was something that I really enjoyed. School was something that I was really good at. And I was drawn to the planning role, specifically at Belk, because planning is what I knew the least bit about. I was very familiar about the buying function, but the planning function is what I didn't know about. And so I viewed that as an opportunity to learn. Well, I forgot about the component of learning where the discomfort comes in. And so having to rewire my brain to know that I'm not going to know everything and I'm not going to know it quickly like I may have historically was a very big hurdle for me to get over. But it came down to that adaptability. Here was my current situation. I knew I could grow from it. I just had to have a different mindset around it, and that's where that adaptability came in.
Excellent, excellent. How did our Department of Retailing align with actual industry demands you're experiencing? And you could talk about this from a variety of perspectives. Feel free. You could talk about it from professors and mentors that you had that helped you prepare. It could be specific courses, or it could be, to your point earlier, the ability to have access to and join clubs like NRF. So what was it that was unique to our department that helped you align with actual industry demands?
I could elaborate on any of those points that you just mentioned. All of them were helpful. I think that I could not have been better prepared. I think USC did the utmost to prepare me in every way. You have top-notch faculty that have been in industry, that know the trends, that know what is desired from the students. So you have that element. You have top-notch opportunities, whether it is, the NRF trip to New York. NRF as an opportunity in of itself. There's plenty of other clubs you can get involved in. So That was another thing that really helped prepare me. And then you also have top-notch curriculum. The things that we were talking about in class were extremely transferable to in industry. And one of the things that I was taking an internal poll of when I was listening to my RDP group is, who knew about the concepts that we were talking about as it pertains to retail versus who didn't? And I felt like those who had a general business degree, they understood the business, which is very important. But in terms of those retail specific terms, and they can be as simple as EOP, BOP, AUR, gross margin, all of those, yeah.
Yes.
And people didn't know what those were. And I had been speaking that language from the time that I stepped foot here. So there's just, little minute things that had I not attended the University of South Carolina, I would not have been as well equipped as I was. So I'll praise to USC in that regard.
Yeah, no, that ability to have a retail specific degree, but with a foundation of business, I think uniquely positions our students for entry into so many different ways.
Absolutely.
Including the one you did, which was into a corporate pathway. So yeah,
Yes.
Absolutely. So a little bit expanding on that, how did your specific internships or experiential learning help shape your professional confidence?
I would say the one that really helped shape it the most was my sales experience at Mattress Firm. Getting up in front of a stranger, selling them this product that they're somewhat, apprehensive to buy.
Right.
You have to have quite a bit of confidence and you have to have quite a bit of, articulation in order to convey the message that this is something that you need. And so that's very transferable to my current role where I am taking large data sets, synthesizing them, boiling them down to make a conveyable story. And, I have to sell my story. So I've had lots of sales experience and that has not gone away. It just looks different now.
Yeah, I think the opportunity to take information and, as we were talking about earlier, actually in a classroom, the ability to take that information and then convert it to a story that you can communicate to a variety of stakeholders.
Yes.
And have them take action on it. And so I think the confidence comes from being given as many opportunities as possible to do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, internships is one of them. And so that's one of the things, again, that I think differentiates our program is that you guys do a practicum and an internship. And there's many colleges and programs that don't require any.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
The fact that we require it is in support of our desire to make you confident so that you feel as though you belong and you can have a role and you can communicate. Excellent.
Yeah.
What experiential learning opportunities at the university had the most significant impact on your career readiness?
I'll continue to boost NRF in this conversation.
Totally fine. Yeah.
I mean, the trip to New York especially is probably the most impactful. And I mean, that's the apex of that whole club as well. I mean, the networking workshops and the guest speakers are all very helpful in of themselves. The resume workshops as well. They offer a variety of different workshops. But, taking that trip to New York to not only be in the capital of fashion here in the U.S., but to also be able to put your palm in the palm of an executive at another company it's an opportunity that not everyone gets to have. And I think it's entirely crucial for the outcome of your college journey as being a successful one.
What were some of the other experiential opportunities you took advantage of? Some of the immersive trips maybe that we did, whether the Masters or Augusta or Greensboro, we could list all of them.
Yeah, I mean, going to the Augusta National Golf Club to see the retail operation side of the Masters, because they own that process start to finish, was very impactful as well, because it gave a holistic view on a micro level for an event that impacts things at a macro level. So that was very cool to see that transformation there. And then additionally going to the distribution center for Ralph Lauren, that was very interesting because that's something that people don't consider when they're thinking about careers in the retail industry. I mean, everyone thinks about buying and everyone thinks about planning and everyone thinks about design and everyone thinks about marketing, but there's a huge component in supply chain that is often overlooked entirely. And I think that gave some color to that experience as well. Additionally, the study abroad opportunities that we have here are far and above some of the best in the country, statistically shown too.
Right.
And in my personal experience, I got to take advantage of the trip to Florence. It was a luxury management trip, and it had a really interesting fusion of both fashion and hospitality. And the way that those two go together is also very interesting. So that trip alone was very helpful in giving some global context to the fashion industry that is ingrained throughout.
Yeah. I think the other interesting thing that it does is it allows you to understand how cross collaboration between seemingly different departments really have core components that are aligned.
Yes. Yeah, most definitely. I mean,
Yeah.
it's funny you say that because when I first began at HRSM, hospitality, retail, and sports management all together in one college seems like it was just a miscellaneous assortment thrown in together.
That we put an acronym on?
Yes, yeah. TM. And then as I developed as a student here and got more opportunities and more experiences, the way that the three are woven together, it's almost impossible to ever separate them because they're so interlocked. And I think this program does a really good job of, even if you're a retail major, you still can get the flavor of hospitality. You can still get the flavor of sports management. The three combine seamlessly.
Yeah, we see it all the time where we have students that take advantage of like internships with the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But they're
Yeah.
retail. So yeah, retail lives everywhere.
Yes.
Which is one of the reasons I think our program is so amazing for students because it allows you not only a variety of opportunities, it provides security,
Yes. Yeah.
which is a big thing. You want to make sure that like, okay, am I going to go into an industry that is going to be meaningful, relevant in the future as well? So yeah.
Yeah, buying or selling a good or a service is going
to be here.
nowhere anytime soon.
Right. All right. Switching to my favorite topic, self-awareness and core values.
Yes.
So again, not that you take a class on this, but I think it's crucial in terms of your success and what we can do in terms of helping our students prepare for success. How have your personal core values influenced your own approach to work?
Yeah. I think holistically, people don't ask themselves enough questions. They don't do enough check-ins with themselves, and that leads them, sometimes astray, sometimes not. Sometimes they just, go on a path of a less purposeful path. And so for myself, in my core values, I don't think too many have changed. I think that they've just evolved. I mean, as I've been in the corporate environment, I would say off the bat, who I am as a person jives fairly well with that culture. I'm naturally collaborative, which is, ingrained in that culture. And I'm also very receptive to other opinions and synthesizing those together. But, there's a time and a place for brutal honesty. There's a time and a place for sugarcoating. And there sometimes felt inauthentic because I pride myself on my overall transparency.
Right.
I will tell you like it is. But that's not always received well. So having to pare that back in a way that is palatable for the corporate environment, but still true to who I am, has probably been my biggest learning curve.
Yeah. Excellent. In what ways has self-awareness specifically then contributed to your workplace relationships?
Yeah.
In that ability to cross-collaborate?
I know how I interact with individuals, and I know how I naturally am. I naturally have a tendency to be excitable. I naturally have a tendency to want to jump all in. I naturally have a tendency to want to lead. And I understand now that, in the assistant role where there are plenty of other leaders, I have to sometimes take a more passive role. But being passive doesn't mean that you can't be impactful.
Correct.
So having the balance between the two and knowing how to navigate that's where my self-awareness has had to come in of like, okay, well, how can we take this skill of mine and shape it in a way that's going to be most beneficial for this situation, and doing that all the time on a daily basis, rinsing and repeating.
Yeah.
So that's...
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. All right. Last one on my favorite topic.
Okay.
What practices do you do that help you stay grounded in these values during stressful periods or tight deadlines?
It's the self-inventory primarily. I mean, you have to do a check-in with yourself. You have to ask yourself questions. But but also knowing that, pain is temporary, discomfort is temporary, and at the other side of discomfort typically lies a lesson or growth, or in best case scenario, both. And knowing that sometimes you're paid to get a job done, and you have to persevere. You have to have the perseverance, and knowing that, especially in scenarios that may be a little bit more painful, if you can handle that situation with grace, positivity, and a very positive outcome, that gets you noticed, and you are able to leverage that to your advantage in the future when it comes to career growth opportunities.
Yeah. I think it's important to mention again, because this doesn't happen at every university, that part of our QEP, our Quality Enhancement Plan for the university, literally states there must be self-reflection embedded into assignments, programs, learning. So often this showed up in my class as literally an assignment. I'm asking people, okay, we've been 3 weeks in, please self-reflect on what have you learned? How have you learned it? What is a struggle for you?
Yeah.
So I think when it becomes a practice, to your point, then it is a skill and a strength you can rely on later.
Yep.
And I think that's one of those things that, although we don't take a class in it, we know it's important, so we embed it into the plan.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. All right. Future career goals. Always fun. I know you're young. You've got a lot going on. There's any number of possibilities. Who knows where we're going to go, right? But what I would love to know is, how are you preparing yourself for your next steps while still excelling in your current role?
Yeah, I think exploration is the word that sums it up in both facets. To prepare myself for the future, I am being extremely exploratory right now. I am learning all there is to know about different career paths in the industry, and how what I'm currently doing can shape and be a benefit to those future career paths. And then also, while I'm in the career path I'm in, I'm being a sponge, because especially if I decide to pivot, I'm not going to be here for forever. So I might as well take advantage of the opportunity that I currently have and learn as much as I possibly can. Because again, circling back to what I just said, that is only going to make me better and better prepare me for the future roles that I will have.
Yeah. So I'm hearing that curiosity is a good skill.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Curiosity, adaptability. I mean, stamp those on my forehead. Those are my things.
And I agree. And it's something I hear back from employers all the time.
Yeah.
Because a lot of, not a lot, all of our students are graduating with a degree that allows them to provide and take with them a set of knowledge. And so the employers already know this. They know you have achieved the degree. Therefore, we know what you're bringing with you. What we don't know is, can you persist? Can you solve innovative problems? Can you be curious? Are you willing to be transparent in communication? So it's that ability to take the work you're doing in the classroom and then taking those skill sets and matching them so the employer understands it. And I think you do such a good job with that, and you demonstrated it as a student here, and I have no doubt that's one of the things that allows you to continue to succeed in your career.
Yeah. And there's another component to that too, because while I'm in my current role being a sponge, I also can pass that knowledge on to someone else too. I just had the privilege of having an RDP placed on my team. So now I have the opportunity to transfer some of those skills and some of the knowledge that I've had to further develop people more. And I really enjoy that. People development is a very fun thing for me. So that's another way to
good.
Growing.
That gets me to my next set.
Oh, yes.
Advice for current students.
Yes.
Which that would be one.
Yes. Yeah.
Be willing to almost mentor and or support others in what you have learned so that they can also learn. Absolutely.
Well, and to further expound upon that, there's many elements of that are so beneficial to both you and the other person. One, if you can teach someone something, you got it down. And two, being generous is such a skill. And I say it's a skill because it doesn't come naturally to everyone. But when you are generous with your time, your resources, your knowledge, it's given back to you. It sounds cheesy, but it's very true that I've never found my generosity to be not at least matched, if not doubled.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Excellent. So, how can current students make the most of their remaining time at the university to prepare them for the retail industry?
Soapbox I'll die on is getting involved in the extracurricular clubs on campus.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can't stress that one enough. NRF had such a profound impact on me as a student. And it doesn't have to be NRF. NRF is career focused, but I
Sure.
know that that won't fuel everyone's need for something outside of the classroom. Just get involved in something that you're
Fashion
interested
board
in.
is
Yes,
another option.
Fashion board is another great option. And I mean, there's so many clubs here on campus. And then on top of that, leverage your resources that are here, primarily your professors. Your professors are uniquely positioned as experts of the industry because they've been in industry. So do not let that knowledge go untapped. And they're eager and willing to help you in any way they possibly can. So to not take advantage of that would be an extreme waste.
Yeah, I think between the advisory board that we have
Yes, yeah.
and the professors that we have,
Mm-hmm.
you have a huge repository of knowledge
say the
connections and people that, and I think students need to hear this, people that are absolutely willing and want to support you.
Yes.
So I often will have students come into my office and they're like, I don't know them. I don't really have a lot of experience. Should I really be talking with them? And I'm like, yes, all of us have signed up for the role of supporting you,
Yes.
and so, yeah, take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Last question. It's my secret bonus question.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. So if you can invite one person to dinner, living or dead, it's fine. Who would it be and why?
It would be my Grandma Klemz.
Look how fast that answer was. That's amazing. Okay, let's talk about grandma.
My Grandma Klemz, I only got 5 years with her.
Okay.
She passed away before I don't really remember much of her, but for a multitude of reasons, she adopted my father. He is her biological grandson, but she adopted him because his biological mother just could not support him
Right.
with where she was at. And so to go into her retirement years, taking on this now mother role for him, when she could have easily said, I want to enjoy my retirement, I find to be very commendable. Not only that, but she was a killer entrepreneur. She
Yeah.
had her own little trucking company. It was her
Very
and her
cool.
husband.
Yeah.
And that's where she made most of her money, and she did very well for herself. She was also impeccably dressed. I mean, I would go through this woman's closet where her shoes were her hats. She had the best clothes, and I'm told I look like her too. So to be
Very
able
cool. Yeah.
to sit down and have a conversation with her, to talk about life, maybe even share a cigarette with her, I think would have been really cool.
Grandma smoke?
She did. She did. And she liked a dry martini with onions in it, which
Yeah.
is a heinous order, but I would share
It's
one
a
with
fabulous
her.
order.
But I would love to just pick her brain about her life and, her attitudes and values and see how
Yeah.
they align with mine, because I think they do in a lot of
It
ways.
seems like it transferred down.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And, one of the things I heard you say, right, is so she was willing to adopt your father,
Yeah.
right? So to circle back, she was willing to become uncomfortable,
Yeah.
to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? And most importantly, in service of something greater than herself,
Absolutely.
which is kind of where I hear you talk about a lot of like what you do and why you do it.
Yeah.
So any last thoughts?
I am so grateful to be here. This is such a full circle moment for me. Belk was the very first company that I heard from when transferring to USC. So to be here representing them, to talk to students and, make that impact that was had on me amongst some of my favorite people being the professors and amongst my RDP peer group, I'm pinching myself the whole day. So I'm
Great.
so grateful.
Well, we're grateful that you're here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Watson.